round, chop. The original Guillotine League podcast. Everything you need to know to avoid the chopping block. Chop is brought to you by GuillotineLeagues.com.
What is up, everyone? I am Brian Johnson. Welcome to another edition of Chop, the Guillotine Leagues podcast. Wildcard weekend is in the books. The dust has settled. 8 teams remain. The Bills will face the Broncos, the Texans, and the Patriots. The Rams will be in what will be a very freezing cold Chicago, supposedly, and then rounding, even though they play on Saturday, I'm rounding it out with my Seahawks hosting the 49ers. We've got a lot to get into today, a lot to talk about from a Guillotine League perspective. We're going to do a divisional round draft. Those are available right now in the lobby at GuillotineLeagues.com. Just because the playoffs started doesn't mean we're done drafting. And a whole new set of contests up, paid, and free public leagues. You can create your own private leagues still. So we urge you to go check that out. And after we do our draft, we're going to do a little fab discussion for those who survived the wild card weekend. Certainly a lot to talk about there. So with no further ado, let me bring in my co-host per usual, Matthew Freedman. Roles are reversed a little bit. Freedman still battling the flu a little bit. Where are you at on a percentage level, Freedman? Are you at least at like 80? Safe to go on a hike?
Yeah, I mean, I would say 85. Like a hike, no. A walk around the neighborhood, yes.
Good.
Although I'm definitely like keeping the Ricola business in business with the number of cough drops that I am consuming on an hourly basis. It's a little bit ridiculous, but other than that, doing well. Just lung capacity still not quite where I want it to be.
Right on, man. Well, we got like I said, a lot to get into. We got a draft set to start. We've delayed the start a little bit, so we got it on pause. So we're going to dive into that right away. Myself and Freedman will be drafting. We'll have Matt LaMarca in the draft room as well. And for those who are following our streams last week, we got Zach from Fantasy Life. He's an assassin in this format. So I always hate playing against Zach, but it's always an honor. But before we get into the draft that is brought to you by Xfinity, let me tell you about Xfinity real quick. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to have Xfinity. All the games, all in one place. There's Sports Zone, every pro football game and over 1,000 college games, highlights and alerts, all in one place. Multi-view, being up to 4 stadiums at once. Xfinity Fan View, live scores, odds, and stats, all in one place, personalized to you. Xfinity Enhanced 4K, simply stunning. And then voice remote, just say football. Imagine all your football all in one place. Easy. Xfinity. Imagine that. All right, guys. I got to revert into draft mode a little bit here, so I'm going to pivot here. I have to take this very seriously, so let me move over. LaMarca, if you're out there, do you mind pulling up the draft board for us? We're going to do a single chop format here, so just 4 teams. You guys all know the rules by now, guys and gals out there. So I'm going to just get this thing going. Resume the draft. Now I have the first pick, and as we get going here, I will say I am weighting the player's chance of advancing much more this week than last week in draft. So for that reason, I'm not going to go Puka Nacua with the first pick. And I know it's crazy, and I don't like to let weather sway me too much, but it's going to be really, really cold. And that's a ding on the pass game. And I still like the Seahawks to go to the Super Bowl, and I like the matchup better for JSN at home. He's certainly fresh. The Seahawks are ready to go. So I'm going JSN with the first pick, and I wonder how many people will follow suit. But I think it's either Puka or JSN, but I'm going to go JSN. What do you think about that, Freedman?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a clear, at least in my perspective, it's a clear top 3. I think there's, the debate between JSN and Puka, and then I think Christian McCaffrey being a tier above all of the other running backs, he's in the top 3 as well. And I really could not fault anyone for going one direction or another, at pick 1 or pick 2. And given that we have Zach at pick 2, I'm sitting at pick 3. Obviously PPR scoring wide receivers have, enhanced value, especially like very ball dominant wide receivers have enhanced value in this scoring system. But I won't be disappointed if it's Christian McCaffrey who falls to me at number 3. But looking at JSN versus Puka, I think it's hard to go wrong. And given that the Seahawks have such an inside track to getting to the next round, I do understand JSN versus Puka and taking JSN.
Well, Zebo took his time. He said he might have to set his cue a little bit. He's working hard. He's always working hard for us at Fantasy Life. But Puka goes second. Yeah, I don't think we'll see anyone other than JSN or Puka go in the top 2. But now it gets interesting. McCaffrey, well, you're on the clock. I'll let you talk through it.
I mean, is it? I think it's McCaffrey, like almost hands down at number 3, unless you want to maybe get a little bit wild and you think Colson Loveland is, providing such an edge at tight end that, maybe you think of drafting him that early. But I think it's Christian McCaffrey pretty easily. But what are your thoughts on kind of someone else going there besides McCaffrey?
I think it's only McCaffrey. And if you're really concerned that he's not going to advance and they're going to be underdogs in Seattle, but again, in this format, you're not locked into McCaffrey for the remainder of the contest. As long as he scores high, the pick is worthwhile. It'll be a bummer if you don't get to use him next week and the 49ers lose. But yeah, I can't. I think I would go McCaffrey third there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at running back, I feel like it has to be McCaffrey instead of James Cook, Kyron Williams, RJ Harvey, maybe DeAndre Swift. I mean, there are other options, but I feel like McCaffrey, is the guy with a bullet there. And we could have said the same thing about, well, we don't think McCaffrey is going to advance past this round. We could have said that last round.
Mm-hmm.
And then
we did say that.
Yeah, and then now you have him again. So I do think that there's value in McCaffrey at number 3. I feel like he's the clear pick. And then especially, I know that we had talked last week kind of strategy and how the running back position really thins out or how the running back position thins out relative to wide receiver, relative to quarterback. So all the more, I think there's value in attacking the running back position and getting McCaffrey at number 3.
Yeah, no doubt. And obviously the whole player pool thinning out as we progress through the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see. Well, you're on the clock again. I'll let you talk through your mindset here.
Well, I'll say LaMarca at the 1-2 turn.
Bang Bills.
Yeah,
I would have done the same.
James Cook, Josh Allen, love it. Just really dominating that option there, and decent chance that team gets to the Super Bowl. I think it's going back to running back for me. So then it's DeAndre Swift, Kyron Williams, RJ Harvey. I'm going to go with RJ Harvey. That might be a little bit of a reach, but Kyron is in the timeshare with Blake Corum. RJ Harvey has just been really dominant as the lead back. I don't think we're going to see, I know like that J.K. Dobbins, there's the possibility of him returning at some point in the playoffs. I don't think we see him this week. And even if he returns, I think we've seen enough out of RJ Harvey to where he has a chance of continuing to own that backfield. And then also, I like the matchup. Bills run defense, pretty soft. And now with Christian McCaffrey, RJ Harvey, I feel like I have the running back position solidified. And after this, I can attack other positions.
Yeah, no doubt. We saw Travis Etienne and Bicel Tootin. They did some damage combined against the Bills, who've just been they've been a run funnel all season. So yeah, I like Harvey a lot this week. All right, Zebo on the board. He has Puka, and I think he's in meetings or something. But you can't go wrong with Kyron Williams. So he's forming a Rams stack in the making. So speaking of stacks, I'm not going to reach, even though I like the Seahawks to go to the Super Bowl or at least win this week. I'm not going to reach. I'm definitely going running back because as we've beaten that drum a lot, it's getting thinner and there's 4 gone already. So I'm definitely taking a running back, but I'm not going to reach for Walker or Charbonnet. I'm not going to be stacking the Seahawks just yet because that game could go divisional rock fight. I like DeAndre Swift here. I'm blanking on the Bears who are playing. Who am I? The Rams. Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle. We should have been drafting Chuba Hubbard or Rico Dowdle, right? But I don't know. Seeing what Chuba did and Rico did a little. The Bears, they like to run more than throw, and that's the best way to attack the Rams, really. So I'll take Swift to lock up one of my running backs, and now I got the coin flip of. So now I'm really just I'm going best player. I'm not thinking too much roster construction, but between the Pats backs that plays into, AFC, NFC a little bit. I already have 2 NFC guys. I do want to balance that out a little bit. But this one it's been a coin flip all year between Stevenson and Henderson. Henderson splash plays for days. I feel like 60% of his fantasy points have come on 5 plays this season. They're going to need Stevenson on the field more in this game against the Texans, and it's a tough matchup, but I see Stevenson having a stronger game than Henderson here, so I'm going to take Stevenson, and I'm kind of regretting it already, but the deed has been done.
Yeah, I don't hate it. And I'll say, if I were you, I would have gone with Stevenson. And I was hoping a little bit that Stevenson would fall to me a couple of picks later. But he did not. So you took back-to-back running backs, and then we had Zach take the first tight end off the board in Colston Loveland.
Who now he's Kittle now, right? Loveland's the guy.
Yes. Yeah. And I like that pick because
me too.
It would have been, I think, either Loveland or Stevenson for me. I think a really big drop off at the tight end position after Loveland. And so now I think it's, for me, do I continue to hit running back or do I take my first wide receiver? I think there are enough wide receivers on the board to where I'm going to go running back here once again and looking to take here TreVeyon Henderson.
Like it. It'll be interesting to see where quarterbacks go in this one. Allen, the clear cut, head and shoulders above the rest. We're down to 8. I mean, there's still plenty. There's 4, only 4 teams, but there are certainly Allen is one, but a couple that stand above the other. So it'll be interesting to see where they go. Clearly, Lamarca will not take one here.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm really not thinking about any sort of prioritization of quarterbacks. I'm probably still waiting till my final pick to address the position. Definitely the final 2 rounds for me.
So neither of us have any kind of stack going right now. Are you in your back of your head, or in the front of your head, really? Are you thinking are you going to try to key in on one of the teams? You got 3 guys. You could build a foundation around one. Or are you just still going to kind of go best player available, basically survival mode?
If I can build a stack, I'll probably look to do it. But if I feel like it sort of naturally comes to me, so for instance, Devontae Adams just went off the board. Lamarca went Woody Marks and then Devontae Adams. If Adams had fallen to me at this pick, I would have drafted him. And then I would have thought about, all right, Matthew Stafford is the quarterback that I potentially look to pair him with. But alas, that did not happen. So now it's just the bigger question. Again, do I go wide receiver or do I go running back? Because I really want to be deep at running back, but it's a little, man, now wide receiver is fairly thin. Because I'm assuming that Nico Collins is going to be out, given the concussion that he suffered.
Major bummer.
Yeah. I'm going to go DJ Moore. No, going Stephon Diggs. I would have done that. Yeah, I don't feel great about any of the wide receiver options left available, but Stephon Diggs, at least I feel like he stacks with TreVeyon Henderson. I have a shot at getting Drake May later, and I think Diggs is, pretty clearly the number 1 on his team.
Yeah, Nico Collins, man. That's why I don't like this is not the exact reason I don't like the Monday night playoff games, but that's going to end up costing him more than likely because it's costing him a day. They play on Sunday, but still, it's a short week for the Texans, and he's probably not going to play. Like you said, he had a concussion earlier this year too. That lessens his chances. Major bummer.
Yeah.
For Nico.
And this season, we did see a pretty significant difference between like a guy getting a concussion on Thursday and his chances of playing the next week with that 3 extra days versus just the normal situation of a guy getting injured on a Sunday. Will he be available in a week? Like when we're talking about like a week, those days matter. Like a 1-day deficit when we're talking about a week, that really matters for a guy clearing the concussion protocol. And, just like an extra 3 days gives a guy a pretty decent chance of clearing the protocol. So, yeah, minus a day for Nico Collins, that actually matters.
Now, Nico is certainly more interesting and draftable in this format than if you're spinning up a new best ball league this week, because if you're gambling in those formats with Nico. But again, Nico's like a pseudo bagel boy kind of, because you take him and maybe news gets encouraging towards the weekend, and then you take your chances and play him. But if not, you can still drop him, but you're not gonna get anyone nearly as good as Nico or someone you would have drafted this early in the draft. But I'll show my cards. I might consider taking Nico in the last round, but we'll see. But I just took Hunter Henry, wanted to fill my tight end spot. I think it's the second best one on the board. Not the best matchup against the Texans, but if you're going to pass against Houston, the matchup is best for tight ends. It didn't work out for Steelers tight ends last night, but hopefully it works out for Henry. So I'll take Henry. And now I'm not going quarterback here. I'm just kind of looking best available player. Man, the Seattle split is just so frustrating. I'm just going to grab Sutton here. Don't love the matchup against the Bills. You want to run against them more than throw, but I'm spreading allocate my resources. I'm spreading them around. I'll just take Sutton here. Hope for a touchdown.
Yeah, I don't hate that. So Zach took, so you took Sutton, and then Zach took Kenneth Walker. And I was thinking about Kenneth Walker here. It's just, as you mentioned, that backfield split for the Seahawks is so frustrating. And, I think if you're going to take one of the backs, maybe the optimal way is just to wait and to take the second
cheaper one for sure.
Yeah.
That's kind of like my DFS strategy.
Yeah.
If I'm playing daily. Yeah. There's so many of these backfields, or basically all of them, like between Swift and Monungai. Yeah. Walker, Charbonnet, Williams, Corum. It's wild.
All right. I don't know if I like this or not, but I feel like there are 2 number 1 wide receivers left on the board. Juwan Jennings, who stacks with McCaffrey, or potentially Christian Kirk. And I'm going to draft Christian Kirk. This might be way too early, but I'm basically assuming that Nico Collins is out. And that if Collins is out, as we saw this past week, Christian Kirk really kind of stepped up out of nowhere to be the number 1 wide receiver on that team. But, just in terms of like the history that he has, he is the most veteran guy on that team. I do think what we saw, not that we would expect him to have like 100 yards again, but what we saw with him being the number 1 receiver on that team is sustainable in the absence of Nico Collins. So I feel like I wouldn't say I stole a number 1 wide receiver, but I feel like late in the draft, there's uncertainty, but I feel like I might have just gotten wide receiver 1 production.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. LaMarca takes the cheaper Seattle back. Got 3 running backs. Khalil Shakir. All right. He's established his Buffalo baseline now. If there's 3 Bills, those are the 3 you want.
Yeah.
You can maybe argue Kincaid over Shakir, but not really. I think I'd rather have Shakir.
All right. So
what are you looking at here?
Running back position is filled. Wide receiver position is filled. I have Travion Henderson. The running backs available, Kyle Monungai, Blake Corum, I'd maybe be slightly interested in Blake Corum. I could see the Rams really just relying on a ball control, like ground focused approach against the Bears, who are vulnerable against the run. I'm actually kind of interested in that. Wide receiver, again, kind of thin. It would maybe be Juwan Jennings, but Demarcus Robinson has kind of emerged. I think I'm going to go with Blake Corum here if I can actually. I screwed it up. Can we wind that back?
Yes, we can.
My bad.
I've done it before. Don't worry.
Okay. So winding that back quickly, and I draft Blake Corum.
That is the beauty of GuillotineLeagues.com. Create your own private league, commissioners, full control of the draft. There goes Corum.
So Blake Corum.
You did that on purpose to highlight this feature. That was ingenious.
Absolutely. Can you doubt it? Yeah. So Blake Corum, drafted him there, and then Matthew Stafford being drafted by Zach right after. And I think that's, Zach pairing Puka with Kyron and Stafford. I like that. I like that stack. He's going all in on it. And he's got Colson Loveland too. I really like Zach's team.
Yeah, me too. He's just better. Pray that weather isn't truly a factor. It shouldn't be though, hopefully. All right. I'm definitely not going quarterback. Only you and I need a quarterback. I'd be happy with pretty much any of the ones remaining other than CJ Stroud at this point. It was brutal on Monday night. So I'm just going to go best available at flex. I'm not really worried about roster construction too much. Man, Odunze Moore is tough. I'm just going to go Jennings here. As good as well, I won't name drop, but we might see his running mate go. All right, so now I got quarterback flex, as I just said, not taking a quarterback. I don't know who my quarterback's going to be, so I'm not going to worry about this last pick pairing with my quarterback. I can potentially pair my quarterback with one of my existing players. I want upside, but I want safety here. Between Moore and Odunze, man, it's tough. I like DeMarcus Robinson, but I just took Jennings. That's a little too many. I can't. And same goes for Franklin. I feel Dalton Schultz, not a high ceiling. You know what? Since so many of these guys, I'm just going to pray for a miracle. I'm going to take Nico here and just see what happens this week. And then essentially this last pick, these are all replacement level players, not for Nico Collins, but for whoever I would take here essentially. So he's not going to play, but why not? I'll take a chance here.
All right. So you took Nico, and then Zach took DJ Moore right afterwards. So, it's quarterback or tight end for me. I still feel I don't need to take quarterback this early. That said, looking at tight end, I don't know if there's a significant difference between Dalton Schultz, Dalton Kincaid, Jake Tongas.
There's no difference in first name. I know that.
Yeah, that is true. Maybe I should just stack the Daltons and see if that ends up giving me some sort of benefit. But with no Nico Collins, that kind of pushes me a little bit more towards Dalton Schultz. Not that I think I'm going to want to stack Christian Kirk and Dalton Schultz with CJ Stroud, but I do think that those are the two guys who benefit the most from Nico Collins' absence. So drafting Dalton Schultz here.
Yeah, and I feel like Christian Gonzalez, one of the best corners in the league, for the Patriots, tends to follow guys, travel with guys at times, but it feels like he would be Jaden Higgins if anyone, right? More so than Kirk.
Yes.
I don't know how often he goes in the slot.
Yeah, because Kirk plays, mainly in the slot. Christian Gonzalez almost never goes in the slot, and I think he's dealing with some injuries too. So, I think in the Patriots defense much better against the run than against the pass.
All right, LaMarco's got a tight end and a flex needed to round out his roster of Josh Allen, James Cook, Woody Marks, Devontae Adams, Khalil Shakir, and Zach Charbonnet. Like the team. Woody Marks, big helper on Monday night. Came through big time. I think cost me one of my Bagel Boy teams. I got passed because of Woody Marks. I did get one Bagel Boy through, though, by the way. One of 3.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say it feels like that's not that good of a ratio.
33%? If I'm hitting 330, I'm going to the Hall of Fame.
All right. So
Kincaid. Oh, no. Wow. All in, essentially.
all in. You know what? I love it. All
Half
in on the
him.
Bills. Yeah. So LaMarca took Demarcus Robinson and Dalton Kincaid. So now he has 4 Bills on the roster. Love it. I mean, very aggressive, but I think it makes sense. So
Who would
I'm
have known?
looking.
All you would have needed was Kirk, Robinson, and Coker last week. Now, the only 3 players you would have advanced.
All right. So I'm looking at quarterback. And, if I take Drake May, he goes with Stephon Diggs and Travion Henderson, but he also has a really tough matchup. If I go with Caleb Williams, he goes with absolutely no one that I have. But man, I feel like he just kind of fits the matchup a little bit better. I'll go with Caleb Williams, but I don't really like it. Like I'm not thrilled with how my quarterback position turned out, but I also don't think it matters.
All right, I too need a quarterback to round this out. May and Nix stand out most because of the rushing upside. I do like Darnold because I got JSN, but I can worry about that next week. I'm gonna go. I got one a receiver with each. I got Hunter to the good pair with May, and Sutton pairs with Nix. I like the matchup a little more for Nix, especially because Buffalo can be beaten on the ground, and Nix is a sort of a running back in a quarterback's body. He's not a full on quarterback, but I'll pair Nix with Sutton, and I'll take his slight rushing upside over May. May can certainly move too, but I'll take Nix to round this bad boy out. All right, LaMarca, you mind out there in producer land pulling up rosters? Maybe we don't need to go through the rosters. If he doesn't go through the rosters, we won't go through. All right, so there we go. Divisional draft in the books. Again, those are available on GuillotineLeagues.com right now. Paid and free public leagues. The paid leagues, 100% of the prize pool returned to winners. That's pretty dope. And create your own private league too. All right, let's get into this fab discussion, fittingly brought to us by Pristine Auction. Something for every fan. Already registered with Pristine? Use code FANTASYLIFE when you win an item to receive $25 off at checkout. First-time users can register using code FL20 to get $20 in credits added to your account at Pristine Auction. Lots of sweet stuff at Pristine Auction, and again, lots of sweet players on the waiver wire this week, Freedman. So I don't know, how do we start this discussion? I say we start it with, if you have barely anyone has JSN or Harvey, or so if you don't have those guys or any of the other big name players like CMC, Cook, Josh Allen, the big 3 for the Rams, maybe even put Colston, Loveland in the mix. I know our producer, lead producer of Fantasy Life, Matt Swing, has a team where only Juwan Jennings survived. All of his other players were eliminated, so he's got a lot of bidding to do. So really, like, how would you approach bidding, say, on a dollar per player basis on players you're missing? Say I'm missing like 6 to 7 players. How aggressive are you on like 1 or 2 guys? Are you spreading your bids around to fill those gaps as evenly as possible? Or are you going like big and then just getting some replacement level players to fill in?
Yeah, it's a big question that I personally am going through, because in a league that I'm doing with some buddies, I have one guy left, Travion Henderson. It is nasty out there. Like I remember thinking, oh, if I go with the Eagles, I kind of like their chances. And I have Kittle. So either, I'm going to get my Eagle stack through, or I'm going to get Kittle through. And, there was the third door of like, oh, Kittle suffers a major injury and the Eagles lose. That's painful. So I'm definitely in that situation of thinking about, how do you salvage a roster now? And I think, the answer is whoever is left, like whoever is the big guy, if there is if there happens to be a James Cook, like I'm looking now at the cut rate, the chop percentage for the Guilloteenies, going from wild card now to divisional round. And James Cook is number one at the top of the list, chopped in 29.6% of leagues. So James Cook, to me, feels like the guy that I'm looking to target. And then, the Bagel Boy strategy didn't work out for everyone. In 23.2% of leagues, JSN was chopped. And so JSN and James Cook feel like the two really big guys who have a decent chance of being available in a lot of the leagues out there that I'm looking to be aggressive on. And then after that, Devontae Adams, 19.6% chop rate, Travion Henderson, 19.5% chop rate. But I'm really thinking about just kind of going hard on the one or two big guys who could sort of anchor the team and that I think have a chance of getting through. And then after that, it's just trying to be a little bit judicious on the guys who maybe aren't difference makers, but who can sort of patch over my roster for the next week. Because I think the worst thing that I could do is spend on the second and third tier guys as if they are difference makers. Like I need them, but really I just need them to give me enough points for this week. I don't really need them to carry. So I think it's just kind of being sure that I go out and get someone like James Cook, like JSN, who hopefully can carry me.
Yeah, we're in agreement, and I guess I'll try to add to that. And so, yeah, if we're talking like you need 6, 7 players. I'm with you where you go after two big fish. And I would almost do it so everyone has $1,000 in Fab, 8 roster spots. I would almost put like $100 per open roster spot I have, and that doesn't mean $100 for each spot. That's like the total. So say I got 7 open roster spots, I'm spending at least $700 in Fab, and probably 600 of that is going towards 2 players at least, or one. So yeah, you got to be super aggressive if you've got a lot of empty roster spots in your lineup, and especially if none of them are like none of your remaining players are a CMC or a James Cook. Man, before we go on the other side of the coin, say you got 8, 9 guys through, scored a fair amount of points, you're feeling good. Are you going after a big name player in that case, or are you just going to kind of not come in last again? And then if you save your Fab, you're in a really, really good spot. Like real quickly for you, say you got 7, 8, 9 guys left. How much you think you're willing to spend, and who would it be on?
Well, if I get 9 guys through, someone should be paying me. But no, if let's say you get that maximum 8, but then somehow James Cook, JSN, a difference maker is available, I still think you can be aggressive because at this point you're operating from a position of pure strength, so why not go and get a difference maker knowing that you can actually maybe spend a little bit more on that player without it really impacting your overall Fab position, because you still know that other people are going to have to spend just to patch over the holes that they have in their roster. So yeah, I don't mind the idea. And you had said the idea of maybe like $100 total per bench spot that you would want to use, kind of allocation for all of the guys you're going to be bidding on. I think I would maybe be even a little more aggressive than that if I really had a desperate roster situation. But let's say James Cook, as the guy who's the most available now in the Guilloteenie waivers, how much are we willing to spend on a James Cook or on a JSN at this point? Like a max bid number. Let's start with JSN because, we just did the draft and, he's a top 2 pick. You drafted him number 1 overall. How much would you be willing to spend on JSN this week? And let's say it is that scenario where you got all 8 of your guys through.
Like he's a luxury. He's a luxury purchase.
Yeah, he's a luxury purchase, but he's also a I'm putting a stranglehold on all of my league mates with this acquisition type of move. How much are you thinking about?
Yeah, before I give my answer, like you said, putting a strangle on your league mates, certainly analyze every other roster in your league before making any bidding decisions. You could maybe upgrade a tight end if you notice that everyone else, is really sore or lacking there. But anyway, back to JSN. As a luxury, I would go 400 or 500, I think, and conserve half my fab rest of the way. Make one big purchase. You're probably not going to get him, but why not? And that would probably like de-escalate that. Like say I put 5 on JSN, maybe like 300 on Sutton if I'm trying to splurge a little bit. But I think for the most part, if I got 8 guys through, I'm not going to be super aggressive. I'm going to try to hold on to a good amount of my fab, maybe upgrade at a spot or two, but really go for it next week if I have that many players get through.
Yeah, I think I would be a little more aggressive. I think I would probably still be like 600, 600 on James Cook, 600 on JSN, more on JSN than James Cook. But, I think both of those guys are kind of right there in that round one, borderline of round one, maybe for James Cook type of value. Yeah, I think I would probably still be willing to go pretty big because I think I'm getting a difference maker or, potential end game player. Yeah, JSN as a big favorite also. Yeah, I feel like someone, Matt Lamarca in the chat saying, he might go 800. I could, someone's going to go 800.
It's certainly anecdotal. I mean, it depends on rosters. I mean, I wish we could give a blanket bidding advice. He could be worth it. He's essentially worth any amount, really. I would say, but that's the beauty of these playoff guillotinies. We're unearthing nuances every week. We're all learning together here. We're only in the second year. We're all figuring this out together. So why don't you join us helping figure everything out and join a league right now? Go to guillotineleagues.com. Join a free or paid public league again. Create a private league with your friends. Single chop, 4 teams. Double chop, down to 6 teams. Guillotineleagues.com. Freedman, anything to add before we close shop here? Any upsets you foresee this weekend? So players to target in a guillotine, maybe.
Okay, I know I just spent a chunk of time saying I would be heavy on James Cook and JSN, but I just want to say it's not unthinkable that the Seahawks lose, and I know it's easy to look at them. And if you see the odds, it's like, oh, they are really big favorites. They are 7.5 point favorites. And that is significant. But it's Sam Darnold. Like
I knew you were going to say it. I knew you were going to have to say it. It's Sam Darnold. I knew that was going to come.
It is Sam Darnold. And like I think, can you imagine Sam Darnold having a bad playoff performance? Like, yeah, like we could imagine it. We saw it last year. Sam Darnold has had some poor performances this season when he has been significantly pressured. And the 49ers, their defense isn't anything close to full strength. But, Robert Saleh is a good coordinator. And this is the 3rd game between these two teams. Like divisional games, anything can happen.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think if the market is kind of positioned a little too much as if, oh, the Seahawks are definitely advancing to the next round, then there's the possibility that creates some value on the 49ers. So I guess I'm just going to say, like, I think just based on the odds, very probable that the Seahawks get through to the next round. But like, I definitely would not even close count that as a certainty. And then, not an upset, but, the Rams, I feel stronger, kind of anecdotally about their ability to get through. But, looking at our projections, I have this projected as very close to a coin flip between the Bears and the Rams. So I don't feel like, just like my gut, I don't feel as good about projecting that one, as an upset, but based on the projections. And I'll say, like, I know what's going into the projections there. Like, you have the Bears playing their 2nd straight game at home. The The Rams, their second straight game on the road, their fourth road game out of 5 weeks, their sixth road game out of 8 weeks. And the Rams, an indoor team that plays on turf in a different division, now going in a cold weather stadium, outdoor, on grass. The Bears already have a pretty significant home field advantage anyway, and it is maximized given that the Rams play on a different surface, play in a different division,
Yep.
play indoors. So it's like, I kind of don't want to believe that the Bears could win this game. It kind of doesn't jive with the way that I look at these teams, but like it absolutely could happen.
Something magical is happening in Chicago right now. I will say this. If you're allowed to gamble, it's not financial advice, but I've had much success when the Bears fall down early, and they always do. They're worth a live bet if they got a boost available because they are a second half team. That's for sure. But yeah, I think all road teams are kind of dangerous this week. That's for sure. The Texans, not so much, especially without Nico Collins. But that defense is legit. And Drake May didn't look like an MVP on Sunday night. But we shall see what happens. That's why we play the game. All right, Freedman, I think we've done enough here. Thank you for battling through the flu yet again. I wish you even better health the next time I see you. Thank you, Matt LaMarca. Producer Matt LaMarca, for pushing the buttons for the draft. Appreciate that. And thank you, everyone, for watching, listening, however you're consuming this content. We love you. Appreciate you. Enjoy the games this weekend. Best weekend of football, I say. The divisional round. Always is. For Matt, Theo Freedman, Brian Johnson, signing off. Ciao. The Guillotine League Podcast. See you next time.